Colonel Eisen, I want to start with what we saw in Israel on Thursday. Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, saying that this conflict, this operation, will last several more months. But we've also seen the White House National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, telling the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, that this should transition, quote, to the next lower intensity phase in a matter of weeks, not months. What do you make of this?
There's the capabilities of what the military want to achieve. And in that sense, we're trying to work systematically and slowly. The working that way for the military is mainly to try to save civilian lives. If we wanted to do it quickly and harshly, there would be much bigger loss of life. And as we both know, there's been enormous loss of life, as is inside the Gaza Strip right now. When we talk about the United States looking and understanding that we're trying to do the best we can to save civilian lives inside the Gaza Strip, that's going to be the gap between what the military need, the need to work slowly, and the fact that until now it's taking a long time, but we need to continue.
Colonel Eisen, on civilian lives, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, more than 18,000 civilians have been killed, and according to that ministry, many of them women and children. And we saw the U.S. Defense Secretary Austin say that Israel risks a strategic defeat if it doesn't do more than it's doing right now to protect civilians. What do you think of that?
We are doing what we can, as much as we can, to protect civilians. From the beginning of this campaign, we have been telling civilians to go to the safe areas. The safe areas are not lovely and nice. This is a war, but they are safe areas that save lives. When I look at the Hamas numbers, first of all, any person, any human being, any child killed in war is a tragedy. And it's in the Gaza Strip. It doesn't matter if it's in Israel or anywhere. Right now, we're inside this war. I don't believe Hamas numbers, but I absolutely think that we have to do the best that we can. And to me, what hurts is that through these questions, it's as if we don't care and we're not trying. We care, we're trying, we're targeting. I don't like the way we talk about it in big numbers, how many civilians to how many non-combatants, but thousands of Hamas terrorists have been killed over the last 2 months. None of those names have ever been put out. And at the end, as a human being, any child that dies is a tragedy, and we need to do our best. I completely agree in that sense.
And your Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has said this fight will continue until Hamas is defeated, that Hamas cannot be allowed to exist next door to Israel. What does it look like practically, Colonel Eisen, to defeat Hamas?
The military capability is the portion which is much more clear. You go into the Gaza Strip, as we've done in the ground operation, and the word dismantling kind of sounds like you're doing something to a closet. No, you're going in and finding all of the enormous amount of weapons that Hamas have amassed over the last 15 years, that they have ruled over the Gaza Strip, that Hamas have planted, booby-trapped, put into apartment buildings. All right, that's one aspect. Into the refugee camps, everybody knows that. But now we all understand that these weapons and the different capabilities are in mosques, in kindergartens, in hospitals, in schools. You have to go and find those all to go after the terrorists themselves. And we're talking about tens of thousands of terrorists we've arrested. There are already a lot of prisoners. And there's the whole subterranean arena. So we're doing this systematically. It's slow and systematic. If you do it fast, you're going to be killing more civilians, because Hamas built their defenses to be protected both by the civilians and, of course, by the hostages that for them, and I'm being cynical, are the get out of jail free card. And I'm sorry about being cynical of that, but that's the way that Hamas see them, as a bargaining chip to be used for their own safety and not for anybody else's benefit.
And Colonel Eisen, just one more question. You've talked about in interviews the need to think about the day after this war ends. What is the security and political strategy for Gaza that day after?
So it's very clear what it isn't, and then I'll try and say what it is. It is not ruled by Hamas. The Hamas, as we know it now, does not have the massive terror military capabilities. It'll be something which is both local, Palestinian. Israel is going to need for our own sense of security. We can't live here otherwise. We're going to need for our own sense of security, certainly in the initial portion, to be the ones responsible for the demilitarizing, that continuing of disarming of those Hamas military capabilities. What it will look like further along the way, I, in that sense, look forward and hope that for the Gazans, for 2 million people, that in the future they have a different education system that does not educate to hate, that we can together, in that sense, build a different kind of future. But that's still far away. The dismantling of the Hamas terror capabilities is not going to be over soon. In this case, I'm more like the Israeli defense minister. I think that it's going to take months to go. And that's what I'm looking at, not because I'm happy about it, but because I want to continue to live in Israel next to the Gaza Strip. And to be able to do so, first, it's taking apart those military capabilities.
Really interesting to get your perspective today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.